Hey, what is happening, bulls and bears? My name is JJ. You're watching Bull, Boom, Bear, Bust. Today is Thursday, June 22nd, 2023. We've got a big report for you today. A lot of the things that we've been suspecting here, myself and I think most of you have been suspecting for a long time, is actually coming up very soon. And this is going to be the implementation, or at least the announcement, of a new currency coming out of the BRICS nations, folks. This is huge. This is the biggest thing, I think, to happen to the dollar since 1971 when the dollar got detached from gold. I'm going to talk about that here in just a few minutes. That's why I always say keep stacking, right? We're going back to hard money, folks. But let's get into some other domestic news here. And even this news about the BRICS nations is domestic because it affects the dollar, which affects us. But first, let's start right here. All right, let's talk about the cost of living now. Why do I say cost of living? Because that is what most of us feel every day as we try to live in this environment of rising costs. We have the one percenters. This is out of the Wall Street Journal. One percenters keep shopping at the dollar store. So we saw this increase, and they give us actually a chart here in this article. We saw an increase back when inflation started raging back at the end of 2020 of the one percenters and higher income people shopping at dollar stores and discount stores. So a lot of people thought that this was a economic sign, but to me, it's the reason why the one percenters are one percenters is because even though they may have some pretty good wealth, a lot of it's just paper wealth, but pretty good wealth, they are looking for bargains, right? Always look for bargains, right? I don't like to overpay for anything, even if it's something that's just a few dollars. I like to reward companies that give good deals versus giving my money to a company that's just price gouging or maybe just greed and it's just not competitive, right? So even if you have lots of money, that should be something that you'd also be interested in. I also like to tip people that give good service, give a little bit bigger tips, right? So pretty interesting here, and it shows people making 100,000 plus now shopping at discount stores, the highest that it's been in many years. You get a lot of essentials and a lot of things like that from the Dollar Tree, and they're raising their prices, but even the people with money know that if inflation doesn't come down, if the cost of living doesn't come down, it could get challenging even for upper income people. And one thing to remember, even people with higher incomes, a lot of times they just have more debt because the better your credit score is and the bigger your income is, the more money you can borrow. Typically, that's how banks look at it. They look at you, they look at your income, they look at your credit score, and so you can borrow more money. So these people go out and buy bigger houses, nicer cars. They get newer things, but if you look, a lot of them just have more debt. Even though they're making more money equals more debt. I guess that kind of ties in with the, what's the saying, more money equals more problems. Pretty interesting. All right, next is a bit of what I think is good news. This is out of Connecticut here. Will other states follow? Listen to this. Housing bill would limit late charges to $5 a day and eliminate application fees. I've heard some horror stories about people that were looking for a rental and they put in 3 or 4 different, sometimes even more, different applications and ended up paying $100, sometimes $200 just in application fees. And when there's a housing crunch and housing shortage, like we're also seeing in real estate, but also in the rental market, that's not good. It's not fair. So, a lot of people say that this is the government overstepping and putting in too many regulations, and landlords should be allowed to do what they want to do. And I can see that argument as well, but it's no fun having to pay a bunch of fees just for submitting your application when you're going up against sometimes 10, 20, 30 different people trying to get the same property. And we have a housing crunch, folks. We have too many people here, not enough homes. That's the bottom line. And to me, it's only going to get worse. The disproportionate things happening here with housing units versus the number of people looking for housing, and that ties in with the homelessness problem and a lot of other things that we see here. Goes into politics and all kinds of things. But let's talk about this next item here. Let's talk about the slowdown in shipping, and a lot of people agree that this is a sign of the economy. Less packages being shipped, less people buying things online. FedEx to shut down 29 more aircraft as demand shrinks. So we're told there's no problems on the horizon, everything's fine. All you people looking at the economy, thinking that something's wrong with the economy, you're just paranoid. JJ's doom and gloom. He's cherry picking bad data. He's misreporting all those things that you hear. Well, go talk to FedEx, because FedEx sees a big slowdown in packages being shipped, and I guess that means the economy is doing good. When people are buying less and shipping less items, I guess that's a sign of a strong economy. In this kind of backwards financial world that we've been in for the last few years, like in 2020 when you shut down the entire economy, but yet prices skyrocket upward, the opposite of what should happen. You should see crashing prices and deflation when you see so many people out of work. But no, when you ramp up the money printer and you give people money that they normally wouldn't have, and even more money than they would have had if they would have just stayed at their jobs, then those types of things happen. And then you see labor shortages, parts shortages, shipping disruptions, delays, etc. So you all know the story, but the world has been turned around upside down and inside out, basically. Texas, wow, heat wave in Texas, power prices jumping 100%. Imagine your electricity bill doubling. Well, that's what we see happening over in Texas. And it doesn't mean that the prices are going to stay there, and it doesn't mean that the bills are going to be double, but here's what happened. The prices soared in one day 100%, that's double, to $5,000 per megawatt hour from $2,500 earlier that same day, as temperatures topped 110 degrees. And they're not talking about the heat index, they're talking about the actual temperature. So hopefully we'll see these people in Texas get some relief. I've thought about moving to Texas many times. I mean, you get much more for your dollar over there. If I didn't have little ones in school right now, I probably would have relocated, out of California. But I also have other family too. So even if my little ones are out of school, I have other family members to think about here. And there are some family members I have here, members of my family that need assistance, for lack of a better term. And one of the reasons why I have to stay here, and I say that from time to time because I always see somebody down in the comments, "You're crazy for being in California." Yeah, California has problems, I know, but sometimes there's even bigger problems relocating if you're away from your family or away from people that need you or away from things that you need, like schools, hospitals. I have a disabled kid also, so long story, don't want to get into that, but a lot of you already know it because I've talked about it here a few times. Here's some more good news. For those of you saying I don't have good news, that this is just negativity and doom and gloom, you're wrong. Here's good news. Oil tumbled 4%. With crude oil, with oil per barrel now below $70. Let me check the latest price, because some of you will jump on me if the price changes by the time this video gets put out. Yep, $69 and about 41 cents as of right now. Good news, we're not seeing much relief here in California. We're still at about $4.60 to $4.90, sometimes even over $5 at certain gas stations, like the ones that are close to the freeway, and especially right next to the on-ramps to the freeway. They're the most expensive. If you're ever looking for a good deal on gas, don't go to a place right off the freeway. I use this gas app, by the way, to try to get a better deal. And it's always the ones that are further away from the freeway that give you the best deal. If you're going to fill up, it's worth driving maybe a couple extra blocks. Otherwise, you may not care. It's not that big of a deal. Let's talk about home prices here. Real estate. U.S. home prices fall by the largest amount since 2011, and that's December 2011, so over an 11-year, biggest drop in 11 years. U.S. home prices index fell in May. The median home price now in the United States, ridiculous, still ridiculous, $396,100 as of May. That's down 3.1% from the year prior. 3.1%, that's nothing. We saw home prices double and even triple. Many people out there had predicted a home price plunge starting in early 2022. Big people that have channels way bigger than mine. But I don't think they understand how money actually works when you go back to it. That's why we always talk about hard money. The dollar is completely detached from any hard assets. It hasn't been backed by gold since 1971. So bubbles can be maintained much, much longer than people expect and believe. All right, so let's talk about what we mentioned at the beginning, these BRICS nations here, and this is huge news. It appears the BRICS plus nations, the currency will be linked to a weight of gold. What will this do to the price of gold, and will silver go along for the ride? That is the big question. And will the de-dollarization and the further devaluation of the dollar make inflation even stickier, and even worse, will we see home prices start rising again as the dollar plummets compared to this new currency. Again, it's going to be announced in August. This is not a guarantee, but it doesn't hurt to hedge yourself against the keep stacking, so to speak. It's only smart to have at least a month's worth of food, water, and essential items for if we do see a big situation like the grid goes down, it's compromised, another country attacks our grid, things like that, or even a domestic enemy attacking the grid. There's a lot of hostile characters out there, if you know what I mean. Alright folks, we're going to wrap this one up here. Hope everybody is well. Keep stacking. Thanks for being here. Big love. Bye for now. Peace.